for coming over to be here as a part of this discussion and lead it from the chair, despite and unmindful of your requirement of rest and so on. I'm indeed grateful for your presence.
Health and economy sometimes suffer similar challenges.
Thank you.
We have to rise to the occasion.
Sir, I'm indeed grateful that 24 members of this House have participated in this debate. And I'd like to start from saying that in 23-24 budget, I had mentioned that to improve, I quote, to improve bank governance and enhance investor protection, certain amendments to the Banking Regulation Act, the Banking Companies Act, and the Reserve Bank of India are proposed. That was in the 2024 budget. And we are actually having taken a bit of time between the two houses and also before presenting it to the Lok Sabha. We had worked on this banking amendment bill, which is unique at the same time significant in some few ways. This is an amendment bill which is coming in, which is on 8 different themes. I spoke about protection of bank account holders' interests and also simplification and so on. This particular banking laws amendment bill, sir, will have an impact on 5 different acts. It's unique in that sense, and it's unique that 8 different themes of amendments, meaning amendments for one particular theme and amendment for another particular thing, and so on. 8 different themes are being covered to attain the purpose which was stated in the budget speech. 19 sections in these 5 acts will be touched, and therefore I want to first of all say there are 5 acts: the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, Banking Regulation Act 1949, State Bank of India Act 1955, the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act of 1970, and the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act 1978. These are the 5 acts on which the proposed amendments will have an impact, and they spread on 8 different reasons as to why we are doing these. Before I get to specifics of what are these amendments, I want to just place it for the record and also to recall the members from their memory that from 2014, when our banks were under severe stress which were built up, excessive stress which was built up over several years, particularly on the loan portfolios, had reached a situation of crisis, and our economy anyway had reached the fragile 5 position. So, in order to address the major banking crisis related matters, reforms were undertaken. We implemented the Enhanced Access and Service Excellence, short acronym being EASE, Enhanced Access and Service Excellence. EASE was brought in the banks. We enacted the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in 2016. We also put in place a very robust banking governance framework. We set up the National Asset Reconstruction Company, the NARCL, and then we also undertook amalgamation of public sector banks. And these are few of those significant steps taken to restore banks to good health. So the gross NPAs, the outcomes are really there for all of us to see. The gross NPAs of scheduled commercial banks were at a multi-year low of 2.5% in September 2024. So those measures began from 2014, and today when we are in 2024, September 24, some months ago, the multi-year low level of gross NPA of 2.5% has already been reached. System level capital to risk weighted asset ratio, which is known as CRAR, of 16.7% in September 2024 was also achieved, and it is well above the regulatory minimum level. Meaning, if we had reached a certain level, that would have been sufficient. We improved on it and have bettered it. So the steps taken under the leadership of the Prime Minister in getting the banks to some kind of good health are showing results across various indicators which measure the health of the banks. Public sector banks have also recorded the highest ever net profit of 1.41 lakh crores in the previous financial year. And if that is the level at which they achieved profitability in the net profitability in the previous year, I'm confident that this coming year also India's banks will attain even greater heights. Sir, even though the NPAs have reduced drastically, the government has remained absolutely committed to taking stringent recovery action against willful defaulters. The debate saw very many members speaking about willful defaulters going away from the country. Fugitive offenders have also, economic offenders have also left the country. What are we doing about it? I would give a brief remark now, but I'll get into specifics when I address the specific members who spoke about it. I have stated in this House several times that the write-offs don't mean a wave off by banks. I repeat that line, but then I'll elaborate on what it means actually. Write-offs do not result in waiver of liabilities of borrowers, and therefore it does not benefit the borrower. So it's not as if we waived off or the written off is actually waive off, resulting in benefiting those huge defaulters. Sir, close to the end of the debate, we saw member Ravi Chandra Vadiraju, who spoke in Telugu, and I'm grateful for one line that he said. He said, under his government, till recently, which was ruling in Telangana, they've taken a lot of steps towards giving relief to the farmers. Rina Maafi, as it's known there. And Rina Maafi actually under their government had been very effective, and that they have taken care of farmers who were under severe indebtedness. And in that, I'm glad he observed, I'm not commenting on anything to do with the Rina Maafi of the TRS regime, as we would call it, the BRS regime. I'm not commenting. But one line that he mentioned, as different from the Congress's time when waiver was announced, Rina Maafi was announced, but actually half the farmers did not even get it, is an observation, if I understood his Telugu right. Did you say that, sir? So that is the point which all of us have been repeatedly saying. Announce Rina Maafi or loan waiver, but you really don't do it. Half the farmers are left without Rina Maafi, and the banks would put it on the record saying you've been covered under Rina Maafi because the Congress government had given that promise, and later, because under a one-time settlement your loans have been written off, the farmer is not even eligible for one more new loan. So instead of serving the farmers, the Congress's notorious 2008, by which we were told through the media that they won election and came back in 2009, that notorious Rina Maafi had left many farmers neither here nor there. They were not sure whether they got the Rina Maafi, and if indeed the Maafi was given, are they eligible to go ahead? No. You have a layer of small farmers looking up to the banks to give them some kind of a relief. So I want to highlight, like the way they speak about food security, like the way they speak about the Manrega in the rural areas, all schemes brought by them, none of which were effectively implemented. And when Prime Minister Modi implements them without corruption, without malpractice, and without any kind of wrongdoing, they would say, oh, that's our scheme. Yes, it was your scheme, but you kept it in paper or you mismanaged it. I've heard honorable members say, as different from the way Congress has given Rinamafi, our Rinamafi is better. I would want to highlight the fact that deceiving the farmers is for nobody's good. If you really want to help the farmers, here is Prime Minister Modi putting 2,000 rupees every time, annually 6,000 rupees into their account through the transparent DBT. Actually, it helps the small farmers. Show it in action, but don't put it in as though it's a right which we've given to the farmers, and end of the day, farmers don't feel that the right has been given actually to them. So I was very glad to hear that member. I've gone much ahead. I would have spoken when I'm responding to him. But that is the way Congress's policies, which have all been big-time talk, no action in the ground. And if there's action, it's ridden with corruption. Non-existing individuals get the waiver, get the benefit. Others who deserve don't get it. So that is something which thankfully, there's another party member who's saying it, not me. Sir, so the public sector banks have recorded the highest ever net profit of 1.41 lakh crores in the last year. I'm sure they will do it this year as well. So I want to highlight the fact, most often they say fugitives, they've ran away with public money, small people are being harassed. No, small people should not be harassed. We are periodically through the Reserve Bank of India telling banks, telling our NBFCs that you have no business to go and harass anybody. Duly, yes, follow it up, but you can't threaten people or get into their house at ungodly hours and threaten them and so on. But with all that said, the rich borrowers are let to go off, they run away from the country. I want to give you this number, sir, which we placed in this house during question hours also several times. The Enforcement Directorate has successfully restored properties valued at approximately 22,280 crores to victims or legitimate claimants, where ED has enforced its action and taken away from the accused or those who are charged with this offence with the court's permission and restored properties to the legitimate claimants. So, for those of us who seem to think, oh, ED is let loose, they are going on a political vendetta. No, people's money is being given back. People's properties are being given back. This work is also being done by ED, and I want the honourable members to recognise that. And when we say money is being taken away, only big people are running away, small people are being suffered, 22,280 crores, legitimately through the process, getting the stamp from the court, is being sent to the due claimants. So that work is got to be recognized. Sir, further, we'll also be focusing on a lot of structural reforms, but our efforts are not restricted only to that. We have deepened financial inclusion, took banking to the last citizen, and ensured that citizen-centric banking is importantly served as an interface. Quite a few members, and the last speaker, Sanjay Jaji, also spoke. 55 crore Jan Dhan accounts have been opened, of which over 55% of them are women, and 66% have been in rural or semi-urban centered bank branches. Sir, Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, in its Financial Inclusion Action Plan report, which was published in 2023, says, I quote, by leveraging DPIs, digital public infrastructure that is, by leveraging DPIs, India has achieved over 80% bank account penetration, a journey that would have otherwise taken 47 years through traditional means, unquote. So this is a report which has been published somewhere else. They recognize the financial inclusion using DPI, and that actually is something which they have measured. Otherwise, if you followed the traditional methods of inclusion, I heard Honourable Member Shakti Singh Gohil talk about how the intention of nationalisation of banks was to reach the poorest of the poor, give them the financial inclusion. Well taken, sir. But our grievance, as I said, in every one of the acts which they claim, it's ours. Rightfully, they are theirs. They introduced it. But in 47 years, what would have been otherwise achieved has been achieved through DPI in these 10 years. And that is why, since the nationalization, although it was intended to take bank to the poorest to the poor, the results were not much to talk about. So that has to be recognized. So numerous steps have been taken for financial inclusion and does not stop with merely banking the unbanked, and instead enables meaningful engagement with financial services. So this has been achieved primarily because there are two pillars of funding the unfunded and securing the unsecured. When I say funding the unfunded, 68 lakh street vendors have been supported by PM Swanidhi. There are more than 94 lakh PM Swanidhi loan accounts because there are 68 lakh street vendors who are supported by the scheme. But when it shows that people have graduated from the lower end of the loan, repaid it, and graduated to be eligible for the upper end, and therefore they have benefited even from that. So 68 lakh street vendors, but 94 lakh Swanidhi loan accounts have been recorded, and in all the three tranches, 10,000 the first tranche, 20,000 the second tranche, and 50,000 the third tranche. Second point, sir, on funding the unfunded. 50 crore loan accounts sanctioned under the PM Mudra Yojana. Again, these are unsecured loans but guaranteed by the government. Securing the unsecured, sir. 47 crore enrollments, slightly over 47 crore enrollments have been done accident insurance cover under PM Suraksha Bima Yojana. Over 21.67 crore enrollments have been done for the life insurance cover under PM Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, and over 7 crore subscribers for the Atal Pension Yojana. So inclusion both for funding of the unfunded, securing the unsecured, both of them have taken place throughout these 10 years, sir. So about this bill, and I said there are 5 different acts which will get impacted. I just